What up, America? It's your boy, Chuck Johnson, a.k.a. Kid Thunder. This is going to be a video response to Anthony Brian Logan's recent video uh, entitled Crying Wolf About Racism Makes Real Racism Worse. Let me start. I will set the record straight. I am I being a black person, am very aware that, racism still exists. Not just here in America, but racism is literally everywhere, all over the world. And the thought of talking about the thought of bringing racism up, or what ABO was talking about, literally I agree with all his points on, when he was talking about things such as gentrification and, quote unquote, white flight, or, things of that nature. Those I pretty much agree with him on that. However, I'm gonna take a look at some of these instances. Say for instance, I'm gonna take a look at, some, fake, some crying wolf situations regarding about race. Say for instance this. A police officer shoots a black individual. Now, of course, the mainstream media will label that racist. And, they do not go into the full details of what really happened. They want to put this whole victim, this whole, as what, Talib starts had brought up this word, victimology practice into his viewing audience, stating that this is what a black person supposedly have to go through in America. The thing is this, this whole crying wolf thing about racism, it's literally pissing people off. My thing is this, when it comes to race being brought up in a certain conversation, it's literally going to piss people off. You're not, it's literally a turnoff, especially if you happen to have, friends or a significant other who happens to be a different ethnicity from you. So talking about race is literally a big turnoff for me. Even discussing race with, me discussing race with fellow black people, it's literally a turnoff. I also happen to agree with Anthony Brian Logan stating that, if individuals, cry racism, cry wolf on racism, this and racism that, basically real racist issues would tend to be ignored. Case in point, when was the last time you heard any of the fake news media outlets, ABC, NBC, CNN, CBS, MSNBC? I can give you one example. You got like this one disabled individual who happens to be white, and there were 4 black kids who called themselves, beating the crap out of him. This was like a couple of years back, if I cannot recall. Basically beating the crap out of him because of simply because he was white, and so and they were shouting like anti-Trump epithets at him, things, and a lot of things like that. We have not seen any coverage of it on any of these fake news media outlets. But it's a double standard when the same media outlets would show a black person getting killed by a police officer. I mean, and make it as, nonstop coverage. And still, on top of that, do not go into the full details. That's another problem. I also agree with Anthony Brian Logan stated that not everything has to be racist. And, this is something that needs to be addressed to my black people. Not everything has to be racist. If you get apprehended by a police officer, case in point, say for instance, like if you got apprehended by a police officer and, they stop you for whatever reason, or, you would think that, well, the police officer stopped me because I'm black. There has to be a viable reason why he stopped you for it. However, if you get stopped for nothing, of course you can contest it in court. You can fight it off in court and whatnot. Now, but yes, not everything has to be racist, and this whole race card stuff, it needs to be put to rest once and for all. I will say this once and for all. You could thank the liberal left and the mainstream media for shoving this whole race propaganda down everybody's throats, especially since to them everything is always about race. Case in point, let's go back to a couple of months ago, like about 3 or 4 months ago, I believe. And, President Trump was in a meeting. And, President Trump was saying, this was regarding to the whole DACA issue. And President Trump was saying these words: why do we keep bringing people over from S-hole countries? Did he literally, specified what country was considered a S-hole? No, he never mentioned any country at all. However, the lunatics of the mainstream media would like to make that assumption, as if he did, as if he talked about, certain areas around the world that would be considered a quote unquote S-hole. But yes, me personally, being a black person, this whole discussion of race and bringing up the race and pulling a race card every 2 seconds, especially if you happen to be black, it's literally pissing me off. Do I believe that racism exists? Of course. Racism literally will always exist until literally when Jesus come back. I'll tell you that much. However, one thing I will say is this. If I cannot recall Morgan Freeman, even though he's under like sex allegations now, but that's a whole nother video. I'll talk about that sometime whenever I get the chance. Morgan Freeman said these words in a 60 Minutes interview back in 2005. How do we get rid of racism? Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. Now, what he's saying means that doesn't mean that racism going to end, like, simply like that. But the thought of talking about race is just pissing people off. And, it obviously, steers individuals like myself from a different direction where the issues of real racism is obviously in effect. And that's all I have to say. This is my video response to Anthony Brian Logan. This video regarding about, crying wolf on racism. What are your thoughts? What are your opinions on this? As of now, this is Chuck Johnson, a.k.a. Kid Thunder. I'm signing off. Take care. Please share this video. And, the link to the original video by Anthony Brian Logan will be in the description. Take care.